Hey there, beautiful people. This is Mentor Shelley, your HR consultant, helping you to make sure your company becomes better on a daily basis. We are going to be talking tonight about, or today, depending on when you're watching this, 4 lessons you can learn from this actual harassment lawsuit. We're going to talk about the lawsuit initially, and then we're going to talk about 4 lessons as employers, what you can learn from this, so you do not get caught up in this type of situation. All right, so I'm going to give you a little time for you guys to get in here. Stay tuned, and we're jumping back in about 30 seconds. All right, here we go. All right. This is Mentor Shelley. As you're coming in, say hello, drop a 1 in the comments, especially if you have a company or you're starting a business and something like this is maybe occurring in your establishment, whether you suspect that some of kind of harassment is happening in your establishment, whether it be with customers or with other coworkers. We want to make sure that you eradicate that type of cancerous type of behavior before it gets out of control or it gets to the fine tune of $360,000 worth of lawsuits. Now, this is from the Justice Department. We do get press releases or for every so often, and this was a couple of weeks ago. I wanted to just touch on it so you guys get a better sense of what it is, and why this particular company ended up having to pay this type of money. Justice Department secures $360,000 settlement in sexual harassment lawsuit against New Mexico property manager and apartment complex. Okay, the Justice Department announced today that the owners and former property manager of a federally subsidized apartment complex in Albuquerque, New Mexico, have agreed to pay $360,000 to resolve a lawsuit alleging that former property manager actually harassed female tenants in violation of the Fair Housing Act. The department lawsuit filed in the U.S. District Court for the District of New Mexico in March of 2024 alleges that for more than a decade, why did this go on so long? Property manager Ariel Solis Valeda Solis sexually harassed female tenants at the St. Anthony Plaza Apartments, a Section 8 project-based rental assistant property with 160 units in Albuquerque, New Mexico. The suit alleges that Solis's conduct, including making unwelcome sexual comments to female tenants, touching female tenants without their consent, locking female tenants in his office to demand sexual acts, and threatening to evict female tenants who did not give in to his actual demands. They should have fired this person a long time ago. A home should be a place of refuge, not fear, says Deputy Assistant Attorney General Kathleen P. Wolf of the Justice Department's Civil Rights Division. The Justice Department will hold property managers and landlords accountable when they target and exploit vulnerable tenants with sexual harassment. Affordable housing should not come at the cost of the tenant's dignity and personal safety, said the U.S. Attorney Alex M. Ubalez of the District of New Mexico. When property managers use their power over housing as a weapon to extort actual favors from tenants, they exploit one fundamental right in order to violate another. This settlement will protect the sanctity of the home and basic human rights of tenants, and was only possible because of these courageous women who came forward to tell their stories. This is despicable at best. Let me make sure you guys can see this whole thing here. This is absolutely mind-boggling. No low-income tenant should face the threat of being sexually harassed or abused by the property manager or others who control their housing, said Acting Inspector General Stephen M. Begg at the Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD. We are grateful to the tenants who came forward to help put a stop to this violative behavior. This settlement demonstrates that HUD Office of the Inspector General will continue to vigorously investigate landlords and property managers who seek to actually exploit their vulnerable tenants. The department's lawsuit also names as defendants the owner and operators of St. Anthony's Plaza's Apartment, Pacific Cap Property Group, LLC, St. Anthony's Limited Partnership, Pacific Cap Holdings, LLC, Pacific Cap Management, Incorporated. The lawsuit alleges that these defendants are vicariously liable for the actual harassment for their agent, Solis. The Department of Housing and Urban Development Office of Inspector General participated in the investigation that uncovered the evidence leading to the lawsuit. Under the consent decree, which must be approved by the U.S. District Court of New Mexico, the defendants must pay $350,000 to tenants harmed by Solis harassment and $10,000 civil penalties to the United States. The consent decree permanently bars Solis from contacting tenants harmed by his harassment. Permanently bars Solis from managing residential properties. Apparently, you can't handle that. And mandates training and the adoption of policies and procedures to prevent future discrimination at residential properties owned or managed by the defendants. Individuals who believe that they have been victims of sexual harassment by Ariel Solis or at St. Anthony Plaza Apartments may email solis.investigation@usdoj.gov or call the Justice Department number tip line, which you see here, 833-591-0291. If you're a victim of sexual harassment by another landlord or property manager, or have suffered other forms of housing discrimination, call the Justice Department Housing Discrimination Tip Line at 1-800-896-7743 or email fairhousing@usdoj.gov or submit a report online. Of course, there is more information here. This settlement is a part of the Justice Department's Sexual Harassment in Housing Initiative led by the Civil Rights Division in accordance with the U.S. Attorney's offices across the country. The initiative, which the department launched in October 2017, seeks to address and raise awareness about harassment by landlords, property managers, maintenance workers, loan officers, and other people who have control over housing. Since launching the initiative, the department has filed 48 lawsuits alleging sexual harassment in housing and recovered nearly $17.5 million for victims of such harassment. That is diabolical. Unfortunately, apparently this is something that is not just a one-time situation, and apparently it is not just a one-time occurrence. Unfortunately, this is beginning to happen way more. Those are the ones that are being reported. Can you imagine the ones that aren't? So we go through this article and we understand at this point that unfortunately there are property owners and property managers that will take advantage of the fact that people are in vulnerable states and decide to become or put your company in a very liable position This is not even against employees. This is against the very client base that they serve, or they're trying to get served from that client base. How disgusting. So if you find that you have an employee, or you find that or several employees, possibly there may be some kind of whiff, somebody reported it anonymously, that you have employees um, handling your clients, your customers, in this manner, now is the time to make sure that you are addressing the situation head on. You do not want to have to bear the liability of such particular actions from any employee that you have in your organization. So let's dive in and see what some of the 4 things that I will definitely recommend you do as an employer to make sure that you don't put your company at such liability as well. Okay. Number 1, we talked about the Justice Department summary of the lawsuit pretty much. The Justice Department secured a $360,000 settlement against New Mexico's property manager and apartment complex due to the sexual harassment by the former property manager. We did talk about what the lawsuit claims, but it underscores the critical importance for employers to proactively prevent this type of harassment or any type of harassment within their organization, especially when it's with vulnerable folks. Now, from an HR perspective, what changes need to be made to assure that this egregious discrimination and harassment does not take place again? There are systems and processes, and as you as the employer, or you as the owner of the company, or the leader of the company, will need to put in place, which is what my 4 steps are going to cover. What specific actions need to be taken to make sure working conditions are better, or that client experience or customer experience is much better? Because this absolutely, I'm sure, put a very big dent in their HUD funding, I'm sure. And also, this is not against other employees, which is bad enough. This was against their their client base. How can employers make efforts to treat their employees and customers better? We're going to go over that. And when do you, as a business owner, need to take action in this type of situation? You want to take action immediately. You do not want to wait. You do not want to have the situation get worse before it gets better. However, let's dive in here. To avoid these type of liability issues, proactively prevent sexual harassment within your organizations by taking the necessary precautions. To avoid similar legal repercussions and foster a safe environment for all, employers should implement these following strategies. Now, let's go over them. Okay? Number 1, establish a comprehensive anti-harassment policy. Develop a clear written policy that defines what constitutes sexual harassment, provide examples of prohibited behavior, and outline the procedures for reporting incidents. These are things that if you hire me, or you procure my services as an HR consultant, these are trainings that I can formulate for your specific organization. You want to make sure that the policy informs employees that harassment is prohibited, identify who any employee should contact if they see harassment taking place, either with customers, clients, or with other employees. Assure employees that they will not be punished for asking questions or sharing their concerns if they do see, or if they suspect, that there is any form of harassment, including sexual. Responding to harassment questions or concerns, and investigating harassment complaints promptly and effectively. And last but certainly not least, ensuring that managers understand that they are responsible to stop, address, and prevent this or any kind of harassment, to be clear. Okay, so number one, establish a comprehensive anti-harassment policy and making sure that it addresses all of these concerns. Number two, conduct regular training sessions. I just mentioned that to you. Implementing mandatory. This is not something that they have a choice in, because if they want to work, um, they work for a integral business. Then they do not. If they want to make sure, you want to make sure that you implement and you communicate that you cannot be an employee of this organization and behave in such an unprofessional, disgusting way. Implementing mandatory training programs for all employees, including management, educating them about harassment of all kinds, its consequences, and the company policies regarding such behavior. Training should emphasize the importance of maintaining a respectful workplace and inform employees about procedures and report harassment of all kinds. It's not just sexual, but this particular case does address that type of harassment. Number three, create multiple reporting channels so employees and customers or clients have multiple ways to report this happening. Of course, this information is all sourced from EEOC.gov, which is going to be undergoing some changes, but at this particular juncture, it is still in effect. Provide employees and customers with several avenues to report harassment, ensuring that they can choose a method that they're comfortable with. This may include reporting it to a direct supervisor, a designated HR representative, which I could be for you. Of course, if you procure my services as your HR consultant, to make sure that the report is coming from the report is being received from an unbiased party through an anonymous hotline. Assure your employees that all reports will be taken seriously and handled with the utmost confidentiality to the extent possible based on what type of investigation that needs to take place. Keep in mind, depending on how large or how small your organization may be, they can report it through an online portal by sending an email or going to a portal and putting that information in. They may call a hotline. It could be a suggestion box, or go directly to leadership, whether it be a supervisor or manager of some kind. And of course, action number 4, you want to enforce, not just train, not just talk about it, but be about it. Foster a workplace environment that does not tolerate any form of harassment, clearly communicating to employees, regardless of position. If they're found engaging in any kind of harassment, they will face disciplinary action up to and including terminations. And if you were looking for help in putting those type of documents and discipline type of structure and procedures and processes together, that's also something that we can talk about, and I can assist you with that as well. I do provide that service as well. Encourage employees to speak up without fear of retaliation, and ensure that all complaints are promptly and thoroughly investigated, whether it's an employee that's investigating it or it's a client or customer, because in the case that we just went over, the harassment was going on with clients or with the customers that they were serving. By implementing these strategies, employers can create a safe work environment, uphold their legal responsibilities, and protect their organization from potential lawsuits and financial penalties. This particular property is now $360,000 poorer because they allowed a manager or a property manager and the owners was idly watching by, allowing this particular employee or employees or a group of employees to run free and do all sorts of and allow these employees to harass people, sexual or otherwise, for a 10-year span. Thankfully, the clients or the renters of the apartments um, were brave enough and took the initiative to report it, and this is why the EEOC ended up obtaining this particular case. It was more than one instance, and they've also put the number out there for other clients that experience this type of harassment. Protecting your business before it's too late. Preventing workplace harassment, it isn't just about compliance. It is also about fostering a safe, respectful, and legally sound working environment for everyone, including your clients. Do not wait for a lawsuit to put your business at risk. I am here. Mentor Shelley is here as a consulting company. We specialize in HR compliance, employee relations, and proactive work policies, along with the necessary training, compliance training, to safeguard your business from legal troubles. I want to make sure that you have what you need as a business owner to stay away, as far away from as possible, from these type of liabilities, because you had a bad apple in the bunch and you did not address the situation like you should have. So if you're having this situation or something close to it, or you're about to make a decision that you're not sure if you're going to be compliant or if you're handling it in the best legal capacity, I am definitely here to help you. You can go to mentorshelley.com/HR cons, and we'll take proactive steps to avoid costly legal battles. You do not want this on your record because, heaven forbid, your reputation as an organization is going to tank. When you see this, go ahead, and when you go to the mentorshelley.com/HR cons, you would click to just go ahead and schedule your consultation. All right, guys, if you like the information that you heard tonight, go ahead and like the video. Go ahead and share it with an employer or with a business owner that may or may not be experiencing this type of situation, or if you're not sure. But in any event, I'm here to help you to become a better person. I'm definitely here to help you keep your business HR compliant, or keep your business compliant with employment laws, and to make sure that you stay away from this level of liability. This is Mentor Shelley, your HR consultant, helping your company and you to become better on a daily basis. All right, you guys have a good one, and like the video as you go. Take care.